Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 95. Sol Standard Date. 4th of the 7th, 3267. Romanus flew out of Thanatos and was immediately met with the gnarled visage of Sylvan, staring down at him from above. Sylvan held out his hand. Stop. I'm only here to see if the big guy is alright. There is no need to worry about my presence. Romanus blinked in surprise. Yes? Wait, no, I'm not worried. I simply needed to see the newest addition to the litanies myself. Thanatos will survive. His wounds may be literal miles deep, however, these are all surface wounds to him. Nothing deep yet. Sylvan nodded, then floated down to Thanatos' body. He reached down and patted him twice before taking off into the depths of the void once more. Romanus shook his head. Such a strange character, he said, before he moved up to Thanatos' head and sat down while he began healing him. Leonidas turned his feet towards Purity and began moving. He used a long-range scanner and pointed it at the planet to try and find the cities that were in the greatest need of assistance. It looks like the Azarians started from one point and moved outward in all directions from the epicenter. Currently, 54 different cities look to be under siege. Without their warlords, they should just be mindlessly running around and killing, so that should have slowed progress. An alarm sounded out on his ship and red lights flashed. His ship's AI Athena appeared in front of him. Leonidas, we have an unknown veil energy signature coming in. Clang! Sylvan angled himself towards Purity, using jets of veil energy to propel himself and get the correct angle. He could see some human fleets in front of him heading towards his home as well. He spotted the ship with the most regalia and readjusted his angle to that ship. After a few seconds, he slammed down onto the top of the craft. He knelt down and knocked on the hull of the ship. Hello, any humans in there? Leonidas pinched the bridge of his nose as he heard 3 knocks followed by some creature asking for humans. What in the name of Basilisk is going on now? Is this another fantastical creature come to kill everything before the Spartans even get a chance? Will there be no glory for Sparta today? He yelled as he slammed his spear down. Sylvan knocked again. Hello. Are you a human or are you xenofilth? Answer in 3 seconds or I open this can and find out myself. Leonidas let out an exasperated sigh. Athena, create an airlock beneath him. Let this creature in so that it doesn't open the ship. Sylvan began feeding energy into his claws when he felt the hull of the ship give a little. He paused for a moment in confusion before a hatch opened up and admitted him into a tiny room. In his confusion, he just stood there, watching as the light passed through him. What's going on in the... he said, as the door below him fell open, and he was unceremoniously deposited on the floor of the bridge. Oh, you are a human. Good. Leonidas' eyes bulged when he saw the veil-warped cat. So fucking adorable! Here, kitty! Oh, you look like a kitty going through the 1990s teen angst. Gah! How can a man keep a straight fucking face in front of this? Fuck it. You've got me. I want to adopt you. Sylvan's mouth gaped as the insane human babbled on. Then he mentioned adoption. What? Adoption? What in the name of the goddess is going on here? What in the name of Lord Basilisk is going on here? I will serve Basilisk until the end of time, he said, while scooting back and pointing an accusatory finger towards Leonidas. Leonidas didn't even flinch at the mention of Basilisk. I should have known that you were the Emperor's own, honestly. That angsty appearance looks just like him. That's why I love it. It looks like you're a kitty doing a Basilisk cosplay. However, you can still serve Basilisk while being my family. After all, I too serve the Emperor. Sylvan's eyes widened. What kind of strange development is this? Is this love? Did you fall in love with me? Aren't you male? Leonidas cocked an eyebrow at him. Of course it's love, and of course I'm male. Different kind of love than you seem to be thinking, but yes, you got the gist of it. Sylvan shuddered and backed up against the wall. I do not swing that way, but enough of this. This weird conversation is not why I came here. No, I came here to tell you which cities will be needing your help the most. I will handle our capital. I will mark the locations of our hidden evacuation bunkers on your map. You go do whatever weird things you do, anywhere but where I'm going, he said, as he poked a few points on the globe that his bridge was projecting. Leonidas shrugged his shoulders and smoked. I'll grow on you eventually. Well, anyways, I will send my troops to the locations you've marked. After the battle, you should totally come have dinner with my men. They will absolutely love you. Sylvan's back went rigid at the thought, and he felt a shiver down his spine. No, thank you. Goodbye, he said, as he quickly jumped back up into the airlock. As the airlock cycled, he heard laughter from inside the ship. Lord Basilisk, I had no idea that there were such strange humans. Sylvan kicked off of Leonidas' ship and rocketed towards his home planet. He had reached the outer orbit of the planet before angling towards his destination and going for a steep 90-degree descent. Sylvan distorted the air around himself so that there was no air friction and thus no burning sensation as he cruised down towards the Empress's royal palace. Empress Leticia was standing on her balcony overlooking the city. She was watching the fires burning on the horizon with a baleful gaze as she waved Kita over. "Kita, how many of our people have suffered at the filthy touch of these Xenos?" she said, as she trembled with barely withheld rage. Kita knelt down to the Empress. "Ma'am, we have calculated the projected loss at upwards of 2 billion souls taken to the halls of the dead before their time. We are lucky in the fact that their attacks seem to center on our homeworld, however. Our other colonies have not been struck. Mayik has reported no damages so far." Leticia breathed a trembling sigh. "So the spy master was able to make it to our central hub, huh? Crafty field he is. I'll have to remember to give Mayik a reward when this is all over. Thank you for the report," she said, as she turned away to look at the horizon again. Sylvan lined up his target and searched to make sure he wouldn't squash anyone. His eyes landed on one of the balconies overlooking the city. The Empress herself. Guess I'll expedite our meeting." Sylvan angled to where he would land around 10 feet behind her. Boom! Leticia was knocked into the railing as a sudden explosion from behind her pushed her forward. Kita had already moved to protect her and shielded Leticia's body. Leticia turned her gaze to the epicenter of the explosion, and her eyes were met with enormous pale green fire with a black core shining through the dust. Heavy footsteps echoed through the now silent halls as the flame walked closer. Eventually the massive and twisted form of her very own Grand Admiral stood before her. He placed his fists together and bowed to Leticia. "Empress, it has been too long. It is good to see that you are safe." Kita still had her sword pointed at Sylvan, while she covered the Empress. Leticia moved her aside and dusted herself off before extending the same bow to Sylvan. Kita's mouth dropped open as soon as the Empress bowed to Sylvan. "Empress! You must not bow to anyone. You are the Empress!" Leticia sighed and ignored Kita. "Sylvan, it is good to meet you as well. I had assumed the worst when the Azarians flooded our world. What happened to the fleet? What happened to you?" Sylvan growled, and his claws took on a fiery glow as he remembered the pain inflicted upon him. "The leader of these things. His name is Mel. He destroyed the fleet. He personally saw to me so that he could force the horrific images of our people's deaths onto my eyes. This is why I alone survived. In my madness I threw myself at their massed numbers. I would not have lived without the aid of the humans. They brought one of my Lord Bassus's personal warriors to fight the entire, fleet of Azarians. His name is Thanatos. It is his sword that I noticed was stuck in one of our moons. After..." Leticia held out her hand in a stop gesture as she looked up at the twin moons. Leticia gasped as she finally noticed there was, indeed, a sword visibly skewering her moon. She could barely make out the form of the creature that the sword had originally skewered. "What in the name of the goddess? That sword is visible from here! What kind of creature could wield something like that?" she yelled as she stared at it. Sylvan took a deep breath. "You just noticed the sword that is sticking out of the moon? The sword that hit the moon so hard it knocked it out of its orbital path? You literally just noticed?" Sylvan sighed and dragged his paw down his face. "Anyways, as I was saying, I ended up flying one of our annihilators into the rift that the planet-sized warrior created to make it here. I nearly died. The God Emperor of the humans saved me and granted me the strength. I am now his servant and apostle. Thus I wish to inform you that I no longer serve you above him. However, I am duty-bound to assist you through this war. After the war I may serve as a proxy to my lord for you, but I will no longer serve mortal kind."